everybody, it's Mrs. Pound, and I am here with our last section in our chapter on weathering and erosion. And this section is on glacial erosion from section 216. Now, this is probably my favorite section because we don't have glaciers in our area anymore, but there is so much evidence in our area that there were glaciers at one time. And so I want to share some of these things with you. So, our objectives today are to determine how glaciers created various landforms, explain what clues glacial landforms provide regarding the glaciers that formed them, and compare ice age theories. So, a glacier is a large mass of moving ice that forms on land and remains from year to year. And you can see going down this mountain valley right here is a glacier. And there's it's deposited some materials there. We're going to talk about those materials. So some landforms that can be created by erosion from glaciers. The first is a cirque. Now, many of these words are French because I imagine they developed these words and describe these landforms in the Alps. So many of them are French. And cirque is French for circle. And so you can see kind of this circle that has formed here, okay? And there is a tarn in the middle of this cirque, and a tarn is when there is a lake in the cirque. There is also a feature called an arête. This is when you have a peak that is between two cirques. There's a cirque over here and a cirque over here. And this middle E should have an accent over it that looks like a tent or an upside down V, but I couldn't figure out how to put that on the slide. So, and again, that's a French word and it basically means stop. Horn, this is a horn, and this is the Matterhorn in Switzerland, and this is where you have kind of this pinnacle where there are many cirques located on each side of it. You can see a cirque here, a cirque over there, and there's a cirque on the other side. Now, another feature common to glaciers is a U-shaped valley. And I want to stress this because we have U-shaped valleys around here. If you go in our area to Frewsburg and you go to the Erlandson Overview Park, located on Oak Hill Road in Frewsburg, you will see that if you look off towards Pennsylvania, there are V-shaped valleys formed by just water cutting through. But if you look towards New York, the valleys are U-shaped because of the glaciers, because we live near where the glaciers stopped during the Ice Age. And so you can see definite evidence in our area of that, what we call a terminal moraine, because you look in one direction and there's U-shaped valleys from glaciers, you look in the other direction and there's V-shaped valleys. So a pretty cool feature of where we live in Western New York. Now, you don't find these here, but this is a fjord, and this is a U-shaped valley that has gone to the ocean. These are common in Alaska and in the Scandinavian countries. Okay, so this is a U-shaped valley, and you can see that there is water here and it leads out to the ocean. Another common feature are kettle lakes. This is where a big chunk of ice stopped and was dropped by the glacier. It filled in around it and even probably over it a little bit with some debris from the glacier. And then when that ice melted, that collapsed and left a hole. It left a lake. Now, this is partly how Chautauqua Lake near us formed. Chautauqua Lake is partially a kettle lake. Also, when we visited the bog is a kettle lake that was formed from the glaciers. So not only are landforms formed by erosion, but they're also formed by deposition in our area. And there's glacial drift. This is the general term for any sediment deposited by a glacier. And one particular type is till. This is unsorted rocks and sediment left behind when a glacier melts. And you can see all this till deposited here. In fact, our area is rich in things like gravel. We have a lot of gravel pits. The gravel was left by the glaciers. We also see moraines. Now, in this is actually a glacier here. You see these dark lines going down here? These are going to form moraines. When the glacier melts, it will leave these behind, and you'll see these long, kind of snake-like piles of till that is left. Now, there's some in the middle. This is a medial moraine, and there is some on the sides. That is a lateral moraine. And if there's some at the bottom, if this is the end of the glacier, that would be a terminal moraine. And there's actually a terminal moraine near us that altered after the ice age, altered the way the Allegheny River flows. Before that terminal moraine, before the glaciers, before the ice age started, it's believed the Allegheny River flowed to Lake Erie. But during the glacial period, a terminal moraine was laid down that blocked the river, so it had to flow back down south into Pennsylvania. So that's a pretty cool fact about our area and how these moraines, because they can be very large, these glaciers were very large, can alter the landscape and alter the flow of a river. There are also drumlins. These are long tear-shaped mounds of till. I imagine that many of our hills, if you were to see them from up above, would in fact be drumlins. And this is an erratic. You will find these around here as well. This is a piece of till that is not native to the place where it was deposited. So you will find sometimes just large rocks that are not from the bedrock in an area, just deposited. The glacier carried it there. When the glacier melted, it left it. And that's called an erratic. Now, there are differing world views about the glaciers in our area. The first is the old Earth scientists' beliefs, and they believe in multiple ice ages, 4 and possibly more ice ages. The most recent ice age, they say, ended 11,000 years ago. And the ice ages were due to changes in Earth's orbit and the tilt of its axis. So that's the old Earth view. The young Earth scientist view, which is the view that our school holds, is that there was one major ice age. That ice age began after the flood, and it was caused by the evaporation of a very warm ocean that caused more snow to fall during the winter and volcanic eruptions that blocked the sun, causing temperatures to drop. And so that's what created the Ice Age. Now, another thing I want to point out about the old Earth view and the young Earth view is that the old Earth view is based on what is called uniformitarianism. And this says that the erosion processes on Earth have happened at relatively constant rates, that everything happened gradually. Young Earth scientists believe that the majority of erosion, especially from big events like the Ice Age, were due to catastrophic events. And the most catastrophic event that occurred on our planet was the flood. And so most of the erosion, the major erosion that we see, happened due to the flood that altered the landscape drastically. There is gradual erosion, but most of the erosion, they believe, was due to these catastrophic events like the flood, like volcanic eruptions, and events like that, earthquakes. Okay. So our objectives today were to determine how glaciers created various landforms, explain what clues glacial landforms provide regarding the glaciers that formed them, and compare ice age theories. So don't forget your 5 questions. And we're all ready for the test, so start studying.